Alrighty then. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Matthew Baker of Beautiful New York Tours. A gentleman who lives here in New York City asked me to do a piece about St. Patrick's Old Cathedral. Not the one everyone knows on Fifth Avenue, but the old church building, now a basilica, down on Mott Street, just north of what is now Little Italy. It's a beautiful spot, and in its front yard, there stands a beautiful monument to my favorite Irish New Yorker. The bust in front of the church commemorates the first Archbishop of New York, Archbishop John Hughes. John Hughes came from County Tyrone, Ireland, and he grew up under the English penal laws. When his sister died young, he was given one handful of consecrated earth to scatter on her grave because Catholic priests were not allowed into cemeteries. This was a classic example of what the Anglican English and the Irish Catholics' animosity towards each other resulted in. So at the age of 19, John Hughes immigrated to New York with that experience behind him and with the Irish fighting spirit. He became a priest, he became a bishop, and he eventually became the city's first archbishop. He was known as Dagger John, and he got that name partly because of his personality, but also because it's a popular tradition in the clergy when signing one's name to place a cross next to it. Well, Hughes would take that cross and sharpen it into a dagger point. So he was Dagger John. Now, he was a crusader in so many ways. He believed very strongly in freedom of religion and equality for Catholic practices at a time and place when Protestant practices were considered the norm and the standard. He founded St. John's College, which eventually became Fordham University up in the Bronx. He was also the man behind the school at the Church of the Transfiguration in the neighborhood that is now, today, Chinatown. During the time of the famine, An Gorta Mór, as it was called in Gaelic, the Great Hunger, he said that there is no law of God or man that may prevent a person who is hungry from taking bread, even if it is the bread of Holy Communion. He believed very strongly that no loyalties should come above, the ability to eat and stay alive. His quotations can be found, including that one, on the Irish Hunger Memorial, which is seen just in the shadow of the World Trade Center. The Irish Hunger Memorial is a beautiful spot. If you don't know it, I definitely recommend it. It is designed directly on the pattern of a tenant farmhouse in County Mayo, and all the quotations that speak to famine, not just the Great Hunger of the 1840s in Ireland, but famines all over the world throughout history. They're very touching. There's one I always remember that states, "People who are not hungry have so many problems. People who are hungry have only one." Now, in the 1830s and 40s, there was a huge amount of violent anti-Catholic sentiment, even in New York City, in this city that has since come to be seen as one of the most Catholic cities in the world, and also one of the most diverse and tolerant cities in the world. There was a rumor that a Protestant mob was going to go around town burning down churches. And John Hughes went to the mayor and said, "New York is about to become another Moscow." Now, today, we need some research for that comment, but at the time, everyone remembered that this was a reference to Napoleon going through Moscow and burning much of the city. So he says this to the mayor, and the mayor says, "Oh, I understand you're worried about some of your churches." Without batting an eye, Hughes said, "Oh no, I'm worried about some of yours. We can take care of our own." This is a priest. I like this guy. So Archbishop John Hughes left an indelible mark on both the Catholic Church and the city of New York in the 19th century. He is the only Archbishop of New York never to be elevated to cardinal, though he paved the way for all of those who followed him. He came up with the idea of the creation of the current St. Patrick's Cathedral, but, as is so often the case with such visionaries, did not live to see its completion. He was buried at the site of the old St. Patrick's where his monument now stands. After the new St. Patrick's was completed, he was disinterred and is now reinterred in state under the altar at St. Patrick's. If you would like to see these monuments and follow in the footsteps of Archbishop John Hughes, it is a wonderful way to celebrate Irishness and Catholicism here in New York City once it is safe to do so. Please check me out at Beautiful New York Tours. You can search Beautiful New York Tours on Facebook or email me at baker.tours@yahoo.com. Again, that is baker.tours@yahoo. Thank you very much.